Raw and SmackDown's TV deals are, to put it bluntly, terrifying. How is SmackDown worth $1 billion over 5 years? I will never know, considering its recent and past track record. The fact of the matter is, it's Memorial Day weekend for both these shows, and, well, it's time to see if they can justify the price tags that's been put in front of them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Wrestling Rant. I have to say I've looked better doing a video on this channel, but after sleeping on a floor for 4 days, going through Comic-Con for 8 hours straight standing up and talking it all out of my ass, and of course going through a bungled attempt to get myself home on the train as they completely melted down around me, logically, I'm going to take some time to recover from it and not feel or look at my best. Then again, when have you guys ever expected presentable appearances from a guy who looks like this? Anyway, I'm hoping Raw and SmackDown look a little more pristine, because if they look like what I look like now, after the week they've had, that's not a good thing. Anyway, let's get on to Raw, which was very wrestling heavy this week. It's been wrestling heavy since the Superstar Shake-Up, and I want to know why, because there are better ways of conveying a feud to us than matches against their opponents and interfering in other matches and doing other things. I understand that you need to have qualifying matches for Money in the Bank, I get that, but come on, you need to have something a little bit different. Then again, they could stick Royal Rumble qualification matches in because it's needed, but that's not going to happen by the by. I'm going off topic here, not a good way to start the video. Let's get on to the best match of the entire night, because it was definitely worth it. Seth Rollins vs Jinder Mahal, because Seth is on fire and Jinder put in a good performance. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed with the result because it was a DQ finish that Seth instigated because he got pissed off at Mahal trying to get out of it and logically wanted to ensure he got a beating he deserved. Well, Roman Reigns wasn't on the show this week and he needed to look strong. The match was very athletic and surprisingly well-founded in momentum shifting and offense. I found it to be quite entertaining. But it was what happened before and after the match that made me even happier, because Elias did his bit, got under the fans' skin, and just enjoyed every minute of it, as you would do. He was interrupted by Seth, which you wouldn't have thought much of. You thought, oh god, this is an insult to Elias. Well, after the match, Elias smacked Seth with a guitar off the top of the announce table and had him taken out on a stretcher in a neck brace, while in a great continuity callback, J&J Security helped their former boss to do so. This segment and match went from being pretty good to flat out outstanding. We're going to have Elias versus Seth at Money in the Bank, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, I couldn't be. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm just going to say this right now. I'm looking forward to this. And the whole match, whole segment, had a purpose, and it gave us something different. Something you don't normally see, which is a weapon shot with actual disastrous consequences. Brilliant. And Jinder looked strong even in defeat, even though I have to say next week he's probably going to get obliterated by whoever the blue hell he's facing, but that's a good thing. The match served its purpose all round. We got a Money in the Bank match pretty much set in stone, and Seth has a rival who could put in a very good match against him. Good stuff. Now, the women's Gauntlet match. I was a little bit apprehensive about this because, well, I wasn't going to be that happy about who was going to win it. I kind of predicted that Sasha was going to, and she did it in comprehensive circumstances. But the reason why this match gets something good is they had quick eliminations to build up the drama to start with, and then they got to what we all wanted to see, Ruby Riott and Sasha Banks putting on an absolute clinic. A physical, hard-hitting, psychological storytelling clinic. It was really good. And this is the thing with Ruby Riott. I wasn't that sure of her when she was on SmackDown, but the minute she has come to Raw, she looks like a different beast. Now, of course, the other people in the Riott squad have not had as much exposure, meaning they're not going to be as good in the long run, but Ruby Riott, my god. I mean, her mic work still needs some tooling, but in the ring, she cannot do any wrong here. And I'm hoping she costs somebody the Money in the Bank or does something, because she's not in it, as far as I'm aware, so that means she needs to be utilised for something, because maybe she could go after Ronda Rousey if she wins the damn championship, but we all know that's not going to happen. Anyway, I'll get to all that later. The fact of the matter is, this match was much better than I was putting out to be, and I was entertained by it. Sure, I had to wait through the whole bloody evening to get to it, and the result disappointed me because we still haven't gotten a bloody resolution between Bayley and Sasha yet, but at least we got a very good wrestling showcase by two women whose styles complemented each other really well, and I can be happy with that. The whole match was redeemed and made better than it could have been, which is lovely to see. I may not be happy with the result because Sasha gets way too much. Considering she's already held the title 4 bloody times, she needs to kind of step away and do something different. But they haven't been able to do that, so I've got to just settle with this and live up to it. The Money in the Bank for women looks pretty bloody good. Let's hope it does well on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view itself, or we could be in for a slight problem here. Right, the final good point, and I do stress the final good point, is Balor and Strowman. Now, I know these two faced off last week, but considering it went into a DQ finish again is a poor thing, which explains why it's not as high as it could be, but these two have a surprising good amount of chemistry. I mean, you got David versus Goliath mantra, small versus big, hard-hitting versus agile. It creates enough on its own to where it's not too bad, and I can fully understand that. The thing is, unfortunately, the fact we had seen it last week meant I wasn't as enthusiastic about it, but hey, at least it was solid, right? I can be happy with that. It's not a strike-worthy thing, but I can at least be happy. I mean, it's better than the Bobby Roode-Kevin Owens match we had, which I wasn't that enthused by at all, but it's an honourable mention, it was okay, and Braun Strowman annihilated Owens afterwards, so I can at least look at these two matches and say they cancel each other out somewhat. Right? Right? Good. And that's fine, because looking at Raw, that was all I really had to work with this week, because the rest of it, oh boy, was kind of bad. Now, I could say that the Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley apology was good. Bobby Lashley doesn't contribute much, and Sami Zayn did what he could to basically sound like an insensitive prick. I can fully get behind that if only it wasn't an offshoot from the worst segment in the recent times and probably the whole year. The fact is, I'm not going to really give that a strike because Sami did his best to make it worth it, and inevitably it dodges a bullet ever so slightly. The rest of the poor things, well, they all get a strike. Oh yes, they do. Deleters of Worlds versus The Ascension, another boring tag match. I am sorry, I don't like seeing tag team champions mow through their opposition one by one. It's not entertaining. If you're going to do something with these guys, like I said earlier, you could do something that's not a match. Put them in a segment that highlights their eccentricities. You know? Make it something fun. Because having a match every week is going to get boring. And it has gotten boring to where I've given it a strike in the last 3 reviews I've given here. It's not good. They do the same signature moves every week. It doesn't seem to be any different. And it's just annoying. Every time you see these two make their bungled and clunky entrance to the ring, they do the same things. And if McMahon thinks that the definition of insanity is going to be warranted here, you do the same thing and expect the same results. It ain't going to work out. And, well, look at here. I've given it another strike and it's the least of my problems on this week's show because we then got another Nia Jax squash match. But it's the stuff around it that really made me annoyed. Ronda on the commentary wasn't too bad, but the thing that made me give it a strike was the heel turn. I mean, why build up Nia as this all-conquering babyface who is an inspiration for many men, women, boys and girls, to then throw it under the bus to make Ronda Rousey look more like a good guy? It came so far out of the blue that you could have executed it so much better, you know? You could have had them do another great thing where they're trying to be kind to each other and then Nia Jax just whacks her out of nowhere. You know, to make Ronda look somewhat weak, you kind of need to do that occasionally because she can't be this all-conquering, incredible Brock Lesnar type character where she doesn't look weak immensely at all. It's not worth it. And I looked at this and thought, you know what? They could have easily built it up where Nia beats the crap out of her opponent ever so more and then Ronda tries to go in and save her and get attacked. There is a better way you can do it than just having her laugh at her and be a dick. Okay, they haven't explained why. There could be some confidence there, but Nia Jax thinks, yeah, I'm going up against a person who's never wrestled in the ring against someone other than Stephanie McMahon before. I feel immensely good about this. But no, she just laughed at her and just cackled on. And it felt so weird and so out of the blue that it doesn't really make any sense. And as a result, I feel really, really aggrieved by it. It's such a sloppy execution of a heel turn that we really didn't even need. But if you were going to do it, at least do it with more style and pizzazz than that. Because we've got how many weeks to go until the show? 3 weeks, so roughly? You have the time to really make it much more assertive and much more apparent without making us look like fools for thinking that it was ever going to happen any other way, because Vince McMahon will always try and take shortcuts when it comes to narrative storytelling. You need to set these things up better, Vince. Otherwise, as I do, I'll give you a massive thumbs down on it. And I won't Batista bomb you because you're a frail old man with muscles in places I didn't even know where muscles existed, but you can kind of see that goes. The worst thing, though, something that I think Vince McMahon will have loved immensely, the Memorial Day barbecue segment. Now, I understand that the B team are still kind of a joke, and that's their gimmick, that they're so overly optimistic that they logically would think this is a good idea. I understand the setup was good, I understand what they were doing in the ring with it was great for the characters that they held. But the segment was so hokey, so unfunny, and just everything around it was just so typical of Vince McMahon's holiday shenanigans that I had to give it the third strike. I felt that this was just a waste of time. I mean, you could have built these guys up by just going into the locker room and then saying, hey guys, we're better than every single one of you, we're amazing, and then just get ostracized ever so more until they get to a point that proves that they know what it takes to get to the top of the mountain. Build them up ever so slowly, don't give them the title match now. I mean, then again, they were made an absolute fool of, but once again, they were left feeling confident, like they were standing tall, regardless of having beans thrown over them. The thing is, I didn't find this funny. I didn't find this useful as a segment. I feel that while the B team got the most out of it, it once again made Raw's tag team division look like a joke, which is one thing you don't want to do when you have so many wrestlers being made to look foolish. The Revival especially. But the fact of the matter is, the segment made Vince McMahon laugh his arse off, but not me, not most of the audience. It was a throwaway segment that took up way more time than it needed to, and as a result, it made the show feel very, very labour intensive, because most of the things on this show were placed in moments where I had to go through so much of it. Raw was difficult to sit through this week, despite some good things. Because again, the formula of wrestling, and the occasional little bit of tiny segment for progression is getting a little bit overbearing. I need something more. So SmackDown, you know what to do. You have a 3-strike Raw to combat against. Let's see how you handle it. The Blue Brown was true to form this week, because they have been knocking it out of the bloody park. They responded to a Raw that got 3 strikes and was quite difficult to sit through, with a show that was entertaining from pretty much top to bottom. Oh yes it was. No strikes were given. In fact, it's been a while since I've given a strike to anything SmackDown's done. It's been that good. Have they removed Road Dogg from creative proceedings? Possibly. He's on Raw apparently, from what I've been told. That makes a lot of sense when you actually think about it. If he's not, he's finally got his head out of his arse and done exactly what we want. Giving us entertaining, story-building methods that make everything on the show feel like it has a purpose. That's exactly what's happened. Even though there were a few things I wasn't a big fan of, they at least looked good and still delivered on something. So I can be happy there, right? Right, the match that I had to say was the cherry on top of this amazing cake, the New Day versus Miz, Cesaro and Sheamus, because, well, how am I not going to be entertained by an enthralling, incredible 6-man tag that went in every possible direction and had both teams looking amazing? I'm sorry, this match was incredible. The New Day were fantastic in winning while also piping up that they still don't know who's going to be in the Money in the Bank. The heels looked fantastic in athleticism in defeat, while The Miz nearly got the victory in there. He looked as wily as ever, putting himself in a position where he could have outshone his partners, which is great because that's exactly what his character would do. The match was fun from start to finish, it delivered on everything you'd expected it to, and it gave me more hype for Money in the Bank than most of the things that Braun Strowman, Finn Balor and Kevin Owens are doing. And that makes sense, people. It does, most definitely. And that's good. SmackDown are making its Money in the Bank participants feel like a big bloody deal. And that's saying something. Whilst Raw just puts them in matches and hope they do something. Not to mention the commentary team and the banter between Saxton, Graves and Phillips is much more natural than Cole, Coach and Graves ever will do. That's my opinion, of course. Just saying. We then go on to a match that I wasn't expecting to be as good as it was. But my god, I loved it. Nakamura versus Dillinger. The build up to this, when Nakamura was counting down those placards of 10, I thought, he's got to face Dillinger, right? Because no one highlights the last man standing match in the number 10 better than Ty Dillinger. And they then announced it. I'm thinking, has SmackDown just been reading my mind? The fact is, I wasn't so sure, knowing that Dillinger could be easily buried at any point, that he was going to do anything relatively decent here. The thing is, he was a vital linchpin. This is one of the best matches I've seen Dillinger be in for quite some time. I love that Dillinger got this platform to showcase himself. The fact is, Nakamura, just hard-hitting, strong style, beating the crap out of Dillinger, counting to 10, or trying to, before Dillinger gets up, shows resilience, shows strength, and wants to fight on. This is how you make a babyface, people. You put them in a position where they're not likely to win, they fight and claw their way back, tooth and nail, and even if they don't win, they gain respect from the audience. That is exactly what happened here. Not to mention, he gets up at 9, does his 10, dodges a clothesline attempt, and then tells Shinsuke to come on. I mean, this match made Shinsuke look sadistic and relentless, which is what you need to do. But then it also benefited Dillinger in such a way that I am already a massive fan of his. I am now supporting him even more. I hope the fans at home are too, because this is the kind of match you need to benefit both participants. That's what happened here. Dillinger looked incredible. Shinsuke was as good as he ever is in the storytelling psychological manifest that he's putting forward. This match could have been a stinker, but the writing behind it was genius. It was incredible, and it may have been so simple, but that's the thing. Simplicity could work if you put it all together. This match was great, and my stomach is rumbling in agreement, people. I haven't eaten while recording this, so that's a problem in itself that I can get to later, but it's not something that is concerning SmackDown in regards to building Nakamura, because they're keeping stars away from him, building his emotional frailty and his intensity. Outside of that, you need Shinsuke to look like a threat if he's lost 2 or 3 times already, or had a time where it's gone to dubious decisions. You need to show that Shinsuke's good, and they've bloody done it again. Seriously, Shinsuke AJ at Money in the Bank should be a bloody Match of the Year candidate, and they're building up to it so well. But Dillinger, I want to see more of you. I want to see you going after a mid-card championship soon, and this is showing that he's got the potential as one of the most pure babyfaces on SmackDown outside of Daniel Bryan. He could be good. Utilize him well, and you could have a potential moneymaker on your hands. Now, speaking of Daniel Bryan, I need to get to the Money in the Bank qualifying triple threat. Now, the honest thing is that the promo before it was very good. We had Joe do his usual stick while also showing people who don't know how the Money in the Bank works, proving once again how fantastic on the mic he is. Daniel Bryan came up being as angry as possible, and inevitably got in everyone's faces. Big Cass came out, swerved us that he was actually healed and ready to go, and beat up both of them with a briefcase and a crutch, proving that Cass, since he's come to SmackDown, is reborn. I was never the biggest fan of his, but holy crap, I'm more impressed every week by his mic work and his in-ring ability when it comes to storytelling. I'm impressed by it ever more so. The match itself was awesome, because they played it with a rather deft hand. Because we were thinking from the start, oh, Bryan has to win, right? Well, no. Because Cass could have easily beaten him, but he didn't either. Samoa Joe did. in the end, all three men went tooth and nail, going at each other, throwing finisher after finisher at each other, not able to put anyone down, to where it would take one instinct split decision to get a winner. And Joe made Bryan pass out. Joe's going to Money in the Bank after an extremely long, but very, very tense, but entertaining contest that did everything that it should have done. And that is fantastic. That is brilliant. And that's the thing. SmackDown knows what it's doing with the storytelling of its matches to make it fun. Raw can too, but SmackDown just seems to be doing it in a way that makes me so happy. That's why I love watching SmackDown. When it comes to the matches, they actually have implications that matter to the wrestlers and to us. Which is very, very good. More thumbs up for you. God damn. And the fact is, the match was enthralling, to where I really didn't know who was going to win at the end. I was shocked that Joe came out with the win. I'm thinking, they went for Joe over Bryan? Smart. It means that it's more likely a heel's going to win this thing this time. Hopefully. Now, let's look at some honourable mentions, and there are two of them. Andrade Cien Almas, Zelina Vega and Sin Cara. This could have easily been cringy as hell, but oh man, Zelina Vega. I already knew how good she was watching NXT or whatever I did of it. Oh my god, she is lightning in a bottle. Whenever she speaks, that imperiousness, that scowling, cackling bitch attitude that would come through her is so good. And Sin Cara, a guy who, of course, well, this is Hunico, not Mystico, who would have wrestled La Sombra down in CMLL. Well, this is still a good connection. That, well, although they're just basically throwing a stereotype that all Mexican wrestlers seem to know each other, but they all are down there in AAA or CMLL at some point, so it's good to see that they're pointing out the history of Almas. He's been wrestling down for so long, and the guys from his past are bound to come up and say, hey look, we go way back, we've been on the roads together, but to have Zelina Vega shut him down, and then Almas to shut him down as well, it was more enthralling than I thought, because it builds to a potential first feud over Mexican pride, of tradition, of friendships gone awry through a difference in attitude and lifestyle. There's a lot that can be built here, and it means that the character of Almas can be retooled to fit anywhere that it can in a feud, which shows good flexibility, which is exactly what you need. This is good stuff. I thought this segment was going to be a throwaway, embarrassing, really jangled, jumbled up mess, but it came out looking amazing. It made Almas look like such a big deal that not even a person like Sin Cara, who of course the name of Sin Cara means no face, meaning that Zelina saying who the hell are you makes warranted sense, means that I'm actually looking forward to this. Almas looks like he's worth $1 million without even having to do anything. That's good. Sin Cara has a purpose on a show, which is amazing, and this segment just got better the more it went on. It was short and sweet, but it did its job, and I love it. Oh man. And the Paige Sonya Deville Rose promo was simple as it is. I liked that she was saying, look, we're going to put you in a match with Asuka tonight, which was decent as is, with Carmelas commentary being the lone highlight there. It's not really worthy enough of a strike, but still not good enough to be worthy of much. But the promo that set it up, okay, I can understand that Paige is once again getting in the way of Rose and Deville. That's great. But it's what happened afterwards that made me really happy, because she built up, while talking to Renee, that she isn't taking any crap from anybody, but is also being resourceful, understanding, and fair to both the heels and faces when they need to be. She's like what I expect most good GMs can be, where they can hold their camp in a babyface territory, but still be okay and reasonable enough to the heels. It was a good promo that showed that Paige as GM is just a good thing. I was there in New Orleans when she retired and then got announced as manager the next night. I was a bit suspicious about whether it would work, and a few times Paige has been a little bit sloppy, but this shows her potential as a character that we really don't know where she has to be, because she's obviously going against the heels, but she shows enough sympathy towards what they say, where unlike Kurt Angle, she's not going to throw them under the bus unnecessarily. Or like Stephanie McMahon, where she throws every single babyface under the bus, and the heels under the bus too, which makes no sense. So you see my point here. The promo had a purpose and made Paige look great, while also furthering the storyline between her former stablemates. Good. Good stuff. But however, that does lead me on to the first negative point. Now, this is mostly Paige's fault, because the Charlotte-Becky promo was starting to build up a little bit of tension, trying to twist a knife into reopened wounds of the past. And that was nice. That was really good. And then she came in and tried to say, hey, remember the time when PCB, when we had lots of fun? Oh boy, that ruined a pretty good segment. I'm not happy with it, but it's not a strike-worthy occurrence. If one thing out of the three was bad, that's not a good majority decision. So, there. The segment was good, it seeded out of it, and it worked out fine. While also giving Becky Lynch a chance to show off her mic skills, which are good, and that's all I can say on the matter. Good stuff. The other bad thing was the dance-off. Now, the dance-off wasn't too bad, because Naomi can dance, Lana can dance, so, okay, it was a little bit clunky, and a little bit depressing that we got this happening between two members of a Money in the Bank match who should be going tooth and nail, rather than actually deciding that, oh no, we're just going to do something meaningless and pointless. But what happened after it, however, that's what gets it away from strike territory. Because you had the Usos, Rusev and English, all getting involved, all eating slaps, all eating a punch-up. Because the Raw Tag Division and the Raw Women's Division, not Raw, SmackDown, because Raw wants to invade my mind, the SmackDown divisions are both interlocked, and there's a feud for after Money in the Bank to ready to set up. And the winning team could go on to face either the Bludgeon Brothers or Gallows or Anderson for the tag belts. That's good. You're setting up the undercard of a title scene. Good. You're creating much more narrative threads to be woven through. It's so good. Even in the worst part of the night it worked out. And okay, we also got a really nice backstage segment with Gallows and Anderson where BAM! The abs were highlighted and the hot Asian wife will be pleased. I'm sorry, whenever Anderson says that, I love it. It was one of the worst segments of the night, but it, again, served a purpose of building up a tag match that would seem a little bit anticlimactic on paper. Anyway, the fact is, I'm running out of energy. SmackDown this week, even in its worst moments, was really good. And that basically means SmackDown wins the week. SmackDown also won last week, because Raw was pretty terrible. Anything with the Bobby Lashley segment on was gonna get nowhere near what I needed to give it. SmackDown won last week, which means if you look at the scores, SmackDown is now ahead by 2. What? SmackDown is now ahead by 2. Ridiculous, but SmackDown has been on a roll. SmackDown has been on a roll, ladies and gentlemen, to where it has won 4 weeks out of the last 5. That is insane. And, that's all I can really say about it, to be perfectly honest with you. SmackDown, keep delivering the goods, because every Tuesday or every Wednesday when I end up watching it, you're going to make me a very happy man. Indeed. And your matches at Money in the Bank should be good. Your timing for good participants should be... SmackDown should run away with all the plaudits come Money in the Bank, and the pay-per-views going forward, I am looking forward to seeing how it all goes down. As for Raw, as my camera decides to show discontent by not focusing, the fact is, you need to improve so much here, because the blue brand is going to run away with it if you don't get your head out of Vince McMahon's ass and do something that's not appealing to him. It seems like he lets SmackDown be a free-flowing beast, whilst, well, Raw, you're a little puppy. An old decrepit puppy, whimpering, uncertain of what it wants to do. And that sums it up pretty nicely by looking at the scores that I'm giving. And with that in mind, you may have noticed I delivered more time to SmackDown this week, and with gusto. So in that, it's time to say goodbye for this week's edition of Wrestling Rant. What did you all think about both shows? Am I right in praising SmackDown as much as I've done? Or am I really being that cruel on Raw? Was it really as bad as I'm stating? I mean, it wasn't a terrible show, but in comparison to SmackDown, it might as well will have been. You can put your comments down there in the comment section below. You can give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And of course, if you do not want to miss out on, of course, new episodes of Ponies and stuff, but also next week's Wrestling Rant and the upcoming edition of Friday Flashback later on in the month, of June. All you have to do is click the subscribe button down there so you do not miss a thing. And remember, click the notification bell so you do not miss out at all. And again, most of my videos come out on Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, so you kind of know when they're going to come out anyway. But knowing YouTube and its recent changes, anything is possible on that front. So with that, I bid you adieu, and I need to go get some food, because I am pretty damn hungry. Making videos after not doing one for a while really is showing that things need to be finalized out. Same for RAW, SmackDown though. Keep up the good work, and I could be praising you for the rest of the damn year at this rate. I have been Freddie Thomas, you've been people watching, this has been another edition of Wrestling Rant for the CC Network, and I will see you all next time.